Hello and welcome to the Wisden India v England Awards show. India completed their second Test series turnaround in succession, coming from 1-0 down to record an eventually comfortable 3-1 win. England had their moments but were ultimately outclassed. I'm joined by Wisden India staff writers Rohit Sankar and Rupin Kale to discuss all that and hand out some much-deserved awards. We should start really by discussing India and a couple of young players without whom they could have really struggled this series. We'll start with Axar Patel. First of all, Rohit, just what a story.
Yeah, he's had quite a series, hasn't he? Like 4 5-wicket hauls in 3 Test matches in his debut series. I think he's even equaled the most number of 5-wicket hauls in the WTC itself, and in one series. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I think the more important question is, when is Axar going to play next? Like, India have the WTC final, which is in England, and then that's followed by the 5-match series in England. So I think the next home series is against New Zealand in November or December, and like with Jadeja coming back and Ashwin also in the team, I think it'll be really tough for Axar to get game time. And I think this Indian team is kind of really protective about the men who have already established themselves in the squad. So I think it's going to be quite hard to displace them. I mean, look, Mayank took a long time to come into the team, and he even had 1,000-run month in the Ranji Trophy. And even then, he found it tough to displace Dhawan and Rahul, who are actually not playing well. So that, I think, kind of speaks about how difficult it is to kind of establish yourself in the Indian team right now. And I mean, Axar has had a good start, but I think he'll find it a lot more tough to get more game time.
Yeah, and I mean, you can probably question it in other scenarios that they should have gone away from some batsmen quickly, but I think they've been vindicated largely, right, India, for sticking with their best players, and especially Ashwin and Jadeja, that they've earned a long stint in the team, kind of no matter what happens in the next few months, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jadeja and Ashwin are probably their best Test players at home, arguably, but I think India could still use a third spinner in Axar, but I mean, you never know. Like Kuldeep Yadav waited for almost 2 years after a 5-wicket haul in Sydney, and now Axar has had a good series, and Ravi Shastri has talked him up, obviously. But again, it's going to be tough, because if it comes down to a third spinner who's probably doing a more of a holding role, they might think about Washington Sundar too, because of his batting, maybe. And what Axar offers is pretty much similar to Jadeja. So especially if Jadeja is playing, it's going to be really tough for Axar to come in.
Yeah,
yeah, just talking about this home and away thing, I think it's probably time for India to start considering specialists for home and away, because they have 3 or 4 players now who can, really make an impact at home or away. Like, for example, Rohit Sharma, who was India's best batsman, probably the best batsman of the series, quite easily actually. And Ajinkya Rahane wasn't. And it probably might be worth considering to, switch batting orders and the 11 as per home and away advantage and the pitch and things like that. And I think Axar could play a role there. And I'm just so happy for the guy, biggest stadium in the world. He was making his, he was playing his first series there, his home ground, and for him to, do that in front of crowds and to have such a huge impact on a very important series for both teams. It's just a very happy, nice story that you always love when you get that out of sport.
Yeah, and as much as, it's hard to know what the immediate future looks like for him, it seems like India have found a class spinner, and at some point you'd expect him to take a lot of Test wickets, even if that's in, a while when Jadeja has retired, that there might well be a time when he is India's first choice spinner and he looks like a proper bowler, really. I think it's fair. You mentioned Kuldeep Yadav, and I think it's a fitting touch point in that, plays well, talks about Ravi Shastri, and then doesn't play for a while. So we'll preemptively give him the Kuldeep Yadav award for forlorn brilliance, I think. So another youngster who obviously this isn't the first time he's done well, but sort of had another sort of coming of age moment was Rishabh Pant. Made 101 in the 4th Test, a brilliant innings, kind of the innings that really took the game away from England. We'll come to you for this one first, Rupert, and where else can we start but with that shot? I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Even though you wouldn't have said it, I would have started from that shot, because it was just it was more of a statement. Jimmy Anderson with the new ball, who's probably one of the scariest bowlers in the world, to just have the audacity to premeditate that and loop it over the slip. It just defines Rishabh Pant as a player, and he has just gone from strength to strength in the last few months. It is so heartening to see, because he had been given a lot of grief by fans and some experts as well, and for him to come back from it at such a young age, it's again one of those heartening stories that really make you feel happy. And he is genuinely some people are genuine fans of him who will root for him no matter what, and they have been like that for a couple of years, and you can see why they were rooting for him. This guy has talent, and now he is translating that into match changing, series changing performances. And it's I remember seeing him in the under 19 World Cup that he had played, and everyone was talking about him even then, and I liked him a lot. But I didn't expect at that point that this guy will become such a sensation. In it's still like not a lot of time, so it's very early in his career, and he's already the second designated keeper after Gilchrist to have 100 in England, Australia, and India, and no one else has done that in history of cricket apart from him and Gilchrist. So it just shows that he's a very special kid, a very special batsman. His keeping has improved, and he might as well revolutionize the longest format in one way or another, I feel, if he continues like this.
Yeah, we do have an award for Pant, but we'll come to that a little bit later, I think, and that'll become clear why. I think what we said on India's performance in this game was another youngster who was Washington Sundar, who showed again that he's kind of got the temperament to be a Test cricketer with that 96 not out. Right, he's now made 3 very good half centuries in 4 Test matches. How good could he be just as a batsman, even if he could kind of take his bowling out of the equation, do you think? Rohit, do you want to comment on that one?
Yeah. His maiden and only first class century came when he was opening the batting. So I don't think it's a secret that Sundar is a really good batsman, but still doing that against 2 of the best attacks possibly in world cricket right now, that is like brilliant. And as Shastri said, one word that comes out when you talk about Sundar is his temperament. So I think he may not end up with say 50-60 Test matches, or say he may not even play maybe 20, but if he continues in this current role. But he's just 21, and he can just be a very useful number 6 batsman maybe in the future, who can just chip in with the ball, maybe even help ditch Rahane from the team. Sorry, Rupin. So
yeah, I mean, you do see it with young cricketers and young all-rounders especially, who kind of they kind of have sort of like a bit about them, but you don't exactly know what kind of cricketer they'll end up being. Do you think there is a chance that he becomes like a specialist top 6 batsman, or do you think that's slightly beyond him and he is a sort of an all-rounder and a bowling all-rounder, and that will be his eventual role?
No, I don't think he'll be a bowling all-rounder. I think his batting is good enough to develop. He's just 21 and he has got a lot of time, so I think he'll develop his batting, and he's already known to make these scores in first class cricket at home, even though the sample size is less. And he has done that for Tamil Nadu, and I think he can be a good top 6 batsman in the future in Test cricket at least. And he even talked about opening the batting possibly in the future, and it's something Ravi Shastri has done, and he compared himself to Shastri, who kind of developed from a lower order batsman to an opener. So I think Sundar will get better. It still remains a question mark how many tests he might play, or the kind of team India have right now, how he gets to play more tests. But I think he has a lot of scope to develop.
Yeah, he certainly looks like he values hundreds more than Pant does. Obviously, Pant has made 4 90s now, and kind of just he got to his 100 with a 6. Didn't really look like he minded too much with it, but out just before or just after 100. Whereas Sundar, I mean, he just looked so sad, didn't he? When it was they were 365 for 7, he was 96 not out. And you think then, okay, he's going to cruise to 100, he'll be absolutely fine. And then all of a sudden they lose 3 wickets and 5 balls, in which time he doesn't face a ball at all. And the shot at the end was particularly, so Siraj sort of backed away, exposing all 3 stumps, aimed a huge drive at Ben Stokes, and the off stump was quickly out of the ground. So we've decided to give Mohammad Siraj the the anti-Jack Leach award for failing to stick with a proper batsman, which I think is fair. And for all Siraj's qualities, I think that was a moment to forget, I think.
I just the contrast between him and Pant, they are of the same age, but Sundar has always been like quite composed and reliable and stuff like that. And to see their approach to as they came close to the 100 is such a different thing to see. And yeah, they both played together. Again, I'm going back, but they played together in the Under-19 World Cup, and they have now, they were representing the country in such an important test match, batting together. I'm sure it meant a lot to both of them. And yeah, it's like, I think everyone expected him to get 100 at that point, unless he, of course, got out. And I was just, imagining how his parents would have been like, oh my God, Mohammad, you could have like held on for like one more ball, and this guy would have been able to complete his century. But I still think that 90s, I think, are becoming more important these days. People are talking more about them. Probably because of players like Pant and, all these amazing unbeaten 90s that we have seen, and even the ones where they have gotten out. So, yeah, probably we'll see that too in a few days, where we talk about 90s alongside the centuries sometimes.
Yeah, okay. Let's discuss England and two players in particular whose fortunes have dovetailed this winter, I guess. Johnny Bairstow and Dan Lawrence, they both looked impressive in the first test against Sri Lanka. But then Lawrence struggled in the first couple of tests against India. He was promoted to number 3 and then got dropped. Whereas Bairstow went home for a break and then came back for the 3rd and the 4th and just kind of looked like he'd lost all form in that time, basically. He made 3 ducks in 4 innings, despite him being one of England's best players of spin. Rohit, we'll come to you. What is the view of Bairstow in India? Obviously, he's got such brilliant IPL and white ball form. He's been such a good test cricketer at times. Is he someone you look at and think that guy must be sort of able to crack test cricket again and England should give him faith? Or is he someone that, like, you can see why England fans get quite frustrated with him?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Zach Crawley's issue with left arm spin, but Bairstow got out all 3 times in Sri Lanka to Lasith Embledenia. And here he looked like a sitting duck against Axar's arm balls. He was basically playing outside the line and getting beaten on the inside edge. And I mean, I don't think Bairstow was a poor player of spin. He obviously plays spin well in limited overs cricket. But here in India against these spinners on these tracks, it was always going to be a real hard nut to crack. But I think he looked a lot more assured in that last test against Axar. Seemed prepared for the quicker arm ball, and I thought he kind of did well to get a few balls under his belt and then get a start. But he got a really good ball from Siraj. I mean, he's known to kind of struggle against quick balls coming into him, but at 146 km per hour, I think it was right after a break. And I mean, I'd say he'd be very lucky to play another test match with the kind of options England have up their sleeve. Like Ollie Pope is kind of good enough to play the home test, and Dan Lawrence, I think, has nailed down that spot in the subcontinental test at least.
Yeah. I also wonder if it's the last we'll see of him for a while, and it might just be in everyone's best interest if he concentrates on being a world-class white ball batsman. But yeah, because he was in such good form and then came back and struggled so much, we were actually giving them the Ross and Rachel Award for the most impactful break, if any of you have seen the TV show Friends. And that also means we can now award Rishabh Pant his award which is the season 6 of Friends award for finally making it out of the 90s, having made 4 of them in his test career before finally getting to 101 and then getting out. So it is worth dwelling a little bit more on Lawrence, who did look really good in that final test, I thought. I think for me, it's hard to see where England fit him in long term, unless you push someone funky up to number 3 like Ben Stokes or Ollie Pope, which I can see, like, there's sort of like a half logic to it, I think. But I think that both of them you have to ignore. With Pope, you have to ignore his recent form where he's really struggled, and he kind of looks like he could use more time bedding in essentially before he gets a promotion. And Stokes has he's played 1 innings in his test career where he's batted more than 250 balls, and that's the job of the number 3, is to bat long and kind of bat all day. And it would you'd almost lose sort of the game-changing aspect he has from number 5. And it also, I mean, I know he needs to bowl less and less these days, but we saw in that 4th test just how good a bowler he is. So I think Stokes' best position is number 5. Pope at the moment isn't good enough to be a number 3. And so I kind of think that Dan Lawrence will probably move out the side. I mean, there's a lot of counter cricket to be played between now and then. Now in the first test against New Zealand anyway, so it might be that Dan Lawrence tears it up in counter cricket and moves ahead of Pope. But I actually wonder if Dan Lawrence has shown that he could be a very good Test cricketer, and I'm sure his time will come. But I wonder if actually this could sort of have just been like a one-off, very good Test performance, and then, as you said, Rohit, it was in Asia against spin that he showed it, and that's not going to be hugely relevant for in England, in Australia. So could be a bit of time before we see Dan Lawrence again. And it was interesting that it came at number 7 as well, which is not often where you see a specialist batsman coming in. It's quite a novel thing. It's not nice and funky from England to only go in with basically 3 specialist bowlers. Obviously, it didn't work, but you could see that thinking out of the box. But yeah, so we're giving Dan Lawrence.
In the final, or will he not? Do you think he'll play in the final?
Who?
Dan Lawrence.
In the final
of the World Test Championship.
Well, he's English.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry. I was somehow thinking that Lords, and I just sorry about that.
We'll add this to the
Would he have if you would have made it?
No, I don't think so. I guess the question is, I mean, that his one hope in the series against New Zealand, I guess, is the players that will be absent. So perhaps if Stokes makes it to the IPL final, and that means that he can't play in that series, that could mean that Lawrence comes in and then England go with just 4 bowlers, possibly. I think what they'd more likely do is have Jos Buttler at number 6, and then Sam Curran or Chris Wokes at number 7, so they can, because England like having 5 bowlers, and they didn't have it in the last series, but they like it in general. So I think that's more likely what they'll do. But I think there is a chance for that number 6 spot to be kind of it is up for grabs by someone who makes a lot of runs at the start of the counter season. The same with the number 3 spot, I think. But yeah, we're giving Dan Lawrence the Jos Buttler Award for excellence in a specialist number 7 role. I think it's a unique enough role that it's got Jos Buttler's name in it, I think. And that just about wraps up from.
Sorry for rubbing it in that you didn't make it to the final.
It's okay.
It was a creative way of doing that, though.
And New Zealand kind of.
How do you think India did in the 2019 World Cup final, Rupin? I thought.
And New Zealand are kind of accepting immigrants right now, so maybe Lawrence can try and move there.
Yeah, possibly.
That's doing really well.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's Devin Conway's the one, isn't they? They're wondering if he might make his debut in a World Championship final, which would be a big one for them. And obviously, yeah, we should say that win did confirm India's place in the World Test Championship final alongside New Zealand. It's supposed to be at Lords. Might well be Southampton with the bio bubble concerns, which could play in India's favour possibly. That venue takes spin sometimes. I don't
think New Zealand are very keen on playing a final at Lords so soon anyway. So it should be fine either way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about all that we've got time for this week from a cricket point of view. But we'll end with discussing an interview. Ravi Shastri was hogging the headlines after the game, Rupin. Maybe you can talk us through what was going on there.
So I think the most explosive award of the day is Ravi Shastri getting the Powerpuff Girls Superfan Award for just mentioning bubbles all the time. And I went back and counted. In 9 sentences, he said bubble 11 times. I think that it's like Wolf of Wall Street level, but just replacing one word with the other. And of course, you get his point, what he was saying. Some of these players have been in a bubble since the IPL, and it must have taken a toll on them. But just the way he was saying it, and he has been such an iconic commentator. He is used to exaggerating things and saying them in a big way. So I think it was a nice way to cap off what has been quite an intense series, and just to throw something so over the top in it. And it's I'm glad that the players won't be in the bubbles anymore, and that Ravi Shastri would get time to just go home and sit back and enjoy the 2 great series that he has had as a coach.
Yeah, it was when he started saying that players were praying to bubble was That was when it really sort of crossed the line.
It almost reminded me of the work. It was like he was almost going to go into that song, just replace it with Bubble. But yeah, that's Ravi Shastri for you. It's you. How can you not be entertained?
Well, thanks very much for joining us. And if you did enjoy listening, maybe check out the Wisden Cricket Weekly podcast for more in-depth chat about this series and about the last week in cricket more generally. That will be out later this afternoon. Cheers.